course. Now I know personally, like in the convention community, I didn't really, same thing, I didn't really have a lot of friends either, and I was kind of, looking for something like this where I can really, have a community. So for, as far as me giving this advice for anybody out there that's in the convention community or any kind of community that they're looking, online is a great resource for you. I know specifically for cosplay, there are so many like help groups and like, for Florida, there's like Florida cosplay group, Orlando cosplay group, Tampa, and if you just put it out there that you're looking for somebody to help you with XYZ, or you're looking for a buddy for this convention, those people are out there. You just gotta find that gold. Now, Deena, do you have any advice for anybody starting in the community that's like looking for a buddy or looking for a community?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the ways that I found the good friends that I do now was getting involved in the community specifically. So I was doing convention shows for a really long time. If you guys are familiar with things like MetroCon, what used to be ShadowCon, and LumiCon, they do stage performances for their own conventions. I was part of their cast for a good long while. That's how I got really started in conventions. But then I also started attending panels, photo shoots, meetups, things like that, even because I went to conventions in Georgia and Maryland and just pretty much everywhere, even in Boston, and I don't know anybody out there at all. I have no, well, at least when I went, I didn't have any friends at all, connections or anything. I was terrified I was going to spend the entire weekend by myself, even though I was like a 6-year veteran at cons at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, I went on to their Facebook groups, and there was things like a Homestuck meetup. There was Nintendo character meetups. There was Animal Crossing meetups. And even if I wasn't cosplaying those characters, I had an interest in those meetups and that topic. So I would go to, and they're free to go to. They're absolutely free to go to. That's how I met a lot of my own photographers that I work with right now, because they were there photographing people who were just being nerdy together. And then if you find people with similar interests, then they have a bunch of friends. They will connect you, and it'll keep going. And then before you know it, you'll have a whole other network of friends to work with. And that's exactly what happened with Katsucon. I went there literally 1 year by myself. It was kind of the craziest thing I've ever done. I just got an Airbnb and just went by myself.
Oh God.
Which was terrifying, but awesome. Of course, I was like within safe boundaries. Like people knew where I was, and I was like FaceTiming people constantly, because don't just travel and don't tell anyone where you're going. Don't do that. But I went to a Fire Emblem meetup, and I dressed as a rather obscure character. If you knew the series, you were really well aware of it. If you didn't know the series, it was very obscure. But I met this one photographer who was like, "Holy crap, you're Lindis!" And I was like, you know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually just did the math on it yesterday. We've been friends for about 6 years now, but we maintained that friendship from Boston to Florida, and he's come down here and I've gone up there, and we introduce each other to each other's friends when we're at each other's home turf. And we both built a pretty solid network from those interactions. So it's scary to do the things that you aren't familiar with, or you're not really sure how it's going to go, but it's worth it to at least try. So always, if you're going to go to a convention, plan your time. Don't waste your time just putzing around thinking that something will come up eventually. Make some of these opportunities happen. Go to things that interest you, and then from there you can start making it a point, make it a goal to interact with some people. Maybe start the conversation too. That especially helps if you start or initiate your conversation too. But yeah, just put yourself out there. You never know until you try.
Yeah, of course. I know for me, one thing that kind of made my eyes light up in the convention world was a friend invited me, and I've never been, and she was like, "There's a rave, it's gonna be really awesome." And I'm like, "What do I wear? Do I dress up?" She's like, "No, just wear like a onesie or something, like a nerdy onesie." And I'm like, "Okay, I got those." So I just put on this onesie and had a good time before, and then went to the rave and had an awesome time with these people. If you're like a dancey, I want to go and dance, and it's a safe space, you're just dancing with a bunch of other nerds, that is a great place to have a good time at a convention. And usually it's at the convention center, so you're not like staying up too late, so you can like party at night and then go and cosplay the next day. That is like the perfect convention for me, at least. I know, like, if any of the Bombshells kind of see me tired on the Sundays, we usually meet up on Sundays, that's why.
Yep. We just go, just give Bree some coffee and some quiet time, and she will be with you by noon.
Yeah.
She's green right now. She can't talk.
Oh my goodness, dude. The green haunts me.
But that's when you know. That's when you know you have a real trooper. When you make it through the entire weekend doing your best, and then you got Sunday, you got to do full body paint, and then there she is on time every time.
I feel like there are definitely some times that I'm not always on time. I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to meet at 10 a.m. right here in this hallway, you know, and this is like a week before the convention. And then like the day before, I'm like, hey guys, let's meet at 12. Like, it's fine. So
that's right. No one's complained so far, so I think we're good.
I know. The Bombshells is really near and dear to my heart, and something that I'm very proud of, and something that like I treasure very deeply. And I love seeing these girls like come and go in this group, and I love, you know, hearing their stories like you, and just experiencing their time and seeing them grow as cosplayers and as women. What would you say is like the best thing you've experienced so far with us, and like something that just kind of touches your heart?
I would say it's definitely, again, how we build each other up is a really big one. And I like how we're starting to kind of target our group's attention to more community-based things, even outside of the cosplay or con community, especially when we were talking about Walking with Pride, and we went over to the UCF event that we got to go support other people's panels and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see a person of color panel that was really eye-opening. I really, really liked that. So I like the idea that we're trying to branch out further than just being personalities at a convention, being these characters at a convention, that like, cool, we've got your attention with the looks. Now let's talk about something that matters. Yeah. I really, really admire that we're getting to that point where we can start making impacts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at least for me, you know, this started as just a cosplay group and just us meeting together. So, you know, kind of going back to like the roots, which is like the comic book, it's like the Bible, like going back to the comic series, it's like, you know, what is DC and like these writers, what are they really trying to say with this message, and how can we as people who feel very strongly about these things, how can we project that into not only the cosplay community, the convention community, but our local community, and you know, how can we impact those people? So that's great to hear. That's something that I really want to get into, and I know with everything going on, it's kind of like let's try to get back on it, and let's try to get back on that horse. So
absolutely. Yeah, especially one thing too is like with Pride, something that kind of like really like spoke out to me too with how we were talking about our involvement and everything is I'm an ally actually through and through, but I never want to speak on it because again, like it's not my thing to speak on, and I always want to highlight people who do really, really celebrate it more, because I'm like, this is your time to shine. This is your time to do something. So something like this is really awesome for someone who, again, like I choose not to participate in a lot of like the makeup challenges and stuff like that, because I'm like, honestly, this is your time to shine. Like you do that makeup, like this is, you do it. This has been a good opportunity for me to show some kind of extra support without pulling attention. So yeah. that was like, when that came up, I was like, oh yeah, let's do that.
And honestly, there's so many articles on the internet about it. Like the DC Bombshells is the most queer comic book out there I have ever read. At least like an official like DC or like Marvel comic, you know, like
canon.
Yeah, that's canon. And I'm like, God dang, these lesbians are giving me life. I love it. And like, how do we show this to the world for those who are looking for representation or looking for someone they relate to, you know? So that's something that's always touched my heart too. It's just like how, you know, there's people out there that are really looking for somebody, a superhero that has a girlfriend and she's a girl too, and they're proud about it. And Just my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my best friends is very outwardly gay, and I love him for it, and him and his boyfriend, I love both of them. And he's always trying to find characters to cosplay that do help him represent that. And it's funny, he actually ends up doing a lot of gender bent of the Bombshells, because he's like, these are the most loudest and proudest there is. If not that, they actually are more so DC characters that he ends up cosplaying with. You know, he does Wiccan is his one of his favorites.
Yes.
And yeah, so I'm like, so he gets the ability to express himself. Like when his boyfriend and him did Harley and Ivy, I was just like, this is so freaking cute. But that's one of the things he told me, is just that he's like, because DC has the best representation of this community, and shows it without having that be like the entirety of their identity. Like Constantine, like, was one of his favorites for that, because he was like, he dated a literal shark man. There's no judgment.
Yeah. True. Yeah. No, and this community has really opened my eyes a lot. I know I was pretty young when I was getting into it, and I think just having that safe space at a convention is really, it's a huge confidence boost. You're amongst nerdy people that also might share the same, you know, viewpoints in life as you. And I totally suggest going to panels, going to Q&As. I always cringe at like the speed dating things, but they're actually really fun, and you get to meet some awesome people. Sometimes you can just be like, hey, I'm looking for friends, let's talk. That's a great way to meet new people. But overall, the convention community and like the people like you that I've met are such a blessing in my life. So
of course. Well, thank you for bringing us all together too, because we wouldn't be here chatting if it wasn't for your ingenuity, girl.
Thank you. Well, awesome. I'm so glad we got to spend this time together. Once again, Deena is the bombshell of the month, so you can find our calendar up on our website, bombshellscosplay.com, and you can actually put in a coupon code that's special for Deena's character, which is Mera. All you need to type in is Mera20, MERA 20, and you get 20% off for the rest of the month. So yeah, savings. Deena, is there anything else that you would like to say, like anybody in the community or anybody, you know, just like a lasting remark?
You know, I feel like we covered so much on this one.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah, I would just say, you know, of course, always, it's just a solid reminder that we're all a bunch of nerds in costumes and wigs. Be kind to each other. Have fun, y'all. Stop worrying about what that person's wearing. If y'all wearing the same thing, don't worry about it. You spent good money to be at a con or to be a part of something that's happening. So don't worry about it if it's not bringing it. It's literally Marie Kondo. If it does not spark joy, eat.
Yeah, true. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And you can find Deena again at...
Oh, yep. All my handles on every social media platform is Pixel Doll Cosplay. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I have a Ko-fi account as well. And I'm going to be expanding that pretty shortly. But you can also find me through Bombshells as well as Mera and all of the photos.
Yes. Awesome. Well, Deena, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you.
Of course. Thank you, guys.